بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم
Assalamu alaikum. Today it is Thursday, the 15th of July 2021, and in our series Reflections on the Holy Quran, this is broadcast number 236. These days we are looking at chapter 2, verse 89, and this is broadcast number 5 in that series. I just want to announce that next week, that includes the 2 Sundays, we will not be broadcasting because of Eid. So our next broadcast will be, I think, on Monday, the 26th of July. But obviously, you'll get a notification. This is just to put it on record, so to speak. These broadcasts are brought to you by the Lahore Ahmadiyya community, which was created by Hazrat Mirza Ghulam Ahmad, who taught us that although people want to bring another prophet at least after the Holy Prophet Muhammad, the Holy Quran says that the Holy Prophet Muhammad was Khatamun Nabiyyin, and the Holy Prophet explained that this Khatamun Nabiyyin, seal of the prophets, means La Nabi Abadi, there is no prophet after me. So no prophet will now come. Not an old one, not a new one. Prophethood has ended. And this worried the companions of the Holy Prophet Muhammad, who said to him that the Israelites used to go astray shortly after a prophet would depart. So what will happen to the Ummah? And the Holy Prophet explained that God will appoint Mujaddideen, reformers, who will bring the Ummah back to the right path. And he also explained that because according to the Holy Quran, Jesus has died, he cannot come again. So this title is used for a Muslim Mujaddid because of the task he will be entrusted with. And he also pointed to a hadith of the Holy Prophet Muhammad, which said that the two words Isa and Mahdi are used for the same person. They're not two different people. This was the Holy Prophet saying. So this was his teaching. Hazrat Mirza Ghulam Ahmad also said that yes, on these and other matters, we disagree with other Muslims. But that doesn't mean to say that we should call them heretics and kafirs, or they should call us heretics and kafirs. Because the Holy Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam said that if one reciter of the kalima says to another reciter of the kalima that you are not a Muslim, you are a kafir, you are a heretic, then it is the person saying it who goes out of the fold of Islam. And Hazrat Mirza Ghulam Ahmad taught that although people outside our organizations say that a part of the prophetic revelation that came to the Holy Prophet Muhammad is not in the Holy Quran, this is not correct. Because God has said that I have revealed it, the Holy Quran, and I will protect it. So nothing is missing from the Holy Quran. It is complete. Similarly, people say that some verses of the Holy Quran are abrogated. And Hazrat Mirza Ghulam Ahmad explained that this is incorrect. Even Hazrat Shah Waliullah Rahmatullah Alayhi, may Allah grant him a high place in heaven, said that 7 verses of the Holy Quran have been abrogated. But Hazrat Mirza Ghulam Ahmad Sahib Rahmatullah Alayhi said no verse of the Holy Quran is abrogated. And Hazrat Mirza Ghulam Ahmad Sahib stressed that jihad is a fundamental duty of every single Muslim. Every single Muslim. And but jihad as defined by the Holy Prophet Muhammad, not as made up by people themselves. And what is that jihad? While returning from fighting, the Holy Prophet Muhammad said that from the minor jihad, Muslims were returning to the major jihad. And the major jihad is a struggle with your own inner self, with your own negative desires, jealousy, envy, greed, injustice, discrimination. The list is huge. You know it and I know it. So as I explained, we are looking at chapter 2, verse 89, which states, أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم ولما جاءهم كتاب من عند الله مصدق لما معهم وكانوا من قبل يستفتحون على الذين كفروا فلما جاءهم ما عرفوا كفروا به فلعنة الله على الكافرين. And when there comes to them a book from Allah, verifying that which they have, and aforetime they used to pray for victory against those who disbelieved. But when there came to them that which they recognized, they disbelieved in it. So Allah's curse is on the disbelievers. So today's word is, what is today's word? Kafaru. So let us see what we are told. Kafaru, it has 2 forms. Not 2 forms, I beg your pardon. It has 2 parts, 2 segments. As I've explained previously, many Arabic words are combinations of other words. For example, the possessive pronoun is added at the end of a noun or a verb. Kitab, kitabi is the example I have been using. But in doing the Urdu broadcast, I noticed the word azabi, my punishment, my azab. It's exactly the same thing. azab, and e at the end, pronoun. So some words have more than two segments, may have two or three. So let us have a look at the word a bit more as used in the Holy Quran. It's used in the Holy Quran 525 times in 14 different forms, or in other words, with 14 different meanings. So let us have a look at that and see what we can find. Unfortunately, during the Urdu broadcasts, my notes get out of sequence. So anyway, so the root is kaf, fa, wa, and it occurs 525 times in the Holy Quran, as I said, in 14 different forms. Means 14 different meanings. 289 times as kafara. And where are we? 129 times as the participle kafirun. And then after that, 30 times as the noun kufr, and 27 times as the nine as the noun kafir, 14 times as the verb kaffara, and then fewer times than that, 12 times as Gafur, and then 4 times, 5 times, like Kafar is used 5 times, and Kafarat is used 4 times, etc. So, for example, in chapter 2, right at the very beginning, Holy Quran says, Inna allazina kafaru sawa'un alayhim. They disbelieved. Or kaifa takfuruna billahi wa kuntum. Chapter 2, verse 28, you disbelieve. So that is disbelief. Afatu'minuna bi ba'dil kitabi wa takfuruna bi ba'd. And disbelief. Chapter 2, verse 85. So this is a long list, as I mentioned, because in that form the word is used quite a lot. See if we can get to another form. But here we are. I'll just flick past to it. To remove. For example, the prayer that people say lots of times. Rabbana faghfir lana zunubana wa kaffir anna sayyi'atina wa tawaffana ma'al abrar. And remove from us. And remove. Makaffir anna. And similarly, in that sense, it also means ungrateful, because what you're doing is you're denying, you're disbelieving that someone's done something for you. So akfarahu, as in chapter 80, verse 17, so he's ungrateful. Of course, kafir chapter 2, verse 41, disbeliever, someone who rejected, kafirun, or kufaran, kufar, the plural form, disbelievers, and so on. And then nominal adjective, inna Allah la yahdi man huwa kazibun kaffarun. So that's an adjective because it defines something, and a disbeliever, and so on. So, what does it really mean? It literally means al-kufru literally stands for hiding something. So it's obvious that those who are denying the truth, they are in fact hiding it. It may be that they are doing it so that other people don't see it and don't follow it and so on. Whatever the reason, they are denying the truth, they are hiding the truth. So, night is called, darkness is called kafir. Why? Because it hides things. I mean, I know now we have street lights and so on, but remember we're talking about a long time ago when they didn't have any concept of street lights. When the farmer plants a seed, what is he doing? He's taking something and he's hiding it under the soil for it to grow. So the same word applies to him as well. And al-kafur is used for a covering. Like you have a grape and it has a skin, that skin is covering up what we might call the fruit. So, and kufrun also means to be ungrateful. The Holy Quran says, Fala kufrana li sa'ihi. Chapter 21, verse 94. Their effort will not be wasted. And here it means it won't be hidden. It's not as if it will not do anything useful. And although the word kufr is mostly used to mean denying a blessing, and but it also and kufran means denying a blessing, and kufr means denying religion. The word kafurun is used for both. We have chapter 17, verse 89 of the Holy Quran. فَأَبَى الظَّالِمُونَ إِلَّا كُفُورًا. And the unjust, except for denying it, and did not accept it. فَأَبَى أَكْثَرُ النَّاسِ إِلَّا كُفُورًا. Chapter 17, verse 89. Again, most people did not accept it and denied it. So, the Holy Quran also says, وَاشْكُرُوا لِي وَلَا تَكْفُرُونَ. Chapter 2, verse 152. This is advice from Allah. Be grateful to me always. Do not be ungrateful. And we see this all the time, that when there are problems and so on, we are on our knees, hands in air, begging and pleading, promising God that we're going to be good and we're going to do this and we are going to do that. No sooner does that problem get solved that we forget all our promises. And there are ready excuses. Oh, I'm busy. Oh, I need money for this and I need money for that and so on. The only thing you can't find money for or time for is Allah's work. Everything else, birthday parties, and wedding anniversaries, and anything else you can think of. You can find the time, you can find the money. Even if you have to take a loan, that's fine. But where God's work is concerned, you don't have time, you don't have money. And God says in chapter 14, verse 7, لَإِن شَكَرْتُمْ لَأَزِيدَنَّكُمْ وَلَئِن كَفَرْتُمْ إِنَّ عَذَابِي لَشَدِيدٌ. If you're grateful, then I'll grant you more. But if you're ungrateful, then remember, my punishment is also severe. And that was what I refer to azabi, my punishment, when I was explaining how pronouns are combined with nouns and verbs and so on. And I was using the example, kitabi, kitab, book, kitabi, my book. Here, azabi, my punishment. And no, what's happening? Sorry, I seem to have suddenly flicked over 2 or 3 pages. And God says that if you obey me and you're grateful, then it benefits you. But وَأَكْثَرُهُمُ الْكَافِرُونَ, chapter 6, verse 83. But most are ungrateful. But there's a very interesting verse of the Holy Quran, which is وَمَنْ كَفَرَ بَعْدَ ذَلِكَ فَأُولَٰئِكَ هُمُ الْفَاسِقُونَ, chapter 12, verse 55. And in that, well, literal translation is that whoever is ungrateful or whoever denies after that, then these people are fasiq. These people are bad character. But the interesting thing is that the expression man kafara, many people say that man kafara includes denying people their rights. This can be done in two ways. One, you don't tell people what their rights are. And two, you make laws which deny them their rights as a human being. Or even if the law has enshrined in it those rights, you find some other means of denying people their rights. And the example I always use is the American Constitution that says that all men are created equal and they have an inalienable right, pursuit of happiness and all this kind of thing. And having said that, it still allowed slavery. How are the two compatible? Although you've written on a piece of paper that all men, that means whether you're white or brown or black or green or yellow, you all have the same rights. And you should all be allowed to pursue happiness and so on. But in practice, it wasn't done. For a start, slavery was allowed. Now, if a slave was going to be happy sleeping in on a Sunday morning, or if it would have made a slave happy to go to Friday prayers, they couldn't, because they were owned by someone else and he decided what they did and how they did it and when they did it and so on. And the situation was worse than people think. Slaves were regarded as property, no different from owning a chair or a pair of shoes or a table or anything. And this is how they were treated. And there is this famous case in Ohio when it was the first time when a slave was accepted by the courts as being a human being. Previously, slaves were not accepted as being as human beings. And this man, he beat his slave black and blue and so on, and amounted to grievous bodily harm, and no one did anything about it. And a lawyer saw him, and he pursued the matter through the courts. And the owner's defense was very simple. I'm the master, I'm the owner. And he said this in his defense, that I have a table. If I choose to take a hammer and smash it to bits, it's up to me. What's it got to do with the law or anything else? In the same way, he's my slave. If I choose to beat him and break his bones and injure him and wound him, so what? He's my property. It's up to me. And eventually, the Ohio High Court or Supreme Court decided that no, human beings come under a different category. But the interesting thing is that thing hasn't ended. Even when slavery was abolished, what happened? Slavery was abolished, so, technically slaves were free. But many states made new laws saying to be unemployed was a criminal offense, and arrested these slaves that had been freed and didn't have a job, and then hired them back to the same slave owners who used to own them. So on paper you've done something, but in practice, So that comes under this verse of the Holy Quran, that you're denying these people their human rights, so that you're bad people. Now, it always amazes me that we Muslims never put Islam in front of people in these terms. We're always talking about previous prophets and magic things and this and that and miracles and so on. The miracle is the fact that this is stated in the Holy Quran 1500 years later. Going so far as to specifically say, if a slave wants to buy his freedom, then the owner cannot refuse. He cannot say no. That slaves should be given to wear what the master wears, given to eat what the master eats, and so on. I see my time, I've overrun my time. So I take my leave of you with a prayer that may Allah keep you safe and happy at all times, whoever you are and wherever you may be. Just to remind you that from now until after Eid, we are taking a break. And then I think it's 26th of July, Monday, 26th of July, when we'll be back. I mean, tomorrow we'll broadcast a Friday service, but apart from that, there'll be no other broadcasts. Thank you very much. Assalamu alaikum, Khuda Hafiz, and Eid Mubarak.